Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is formally calling violence against a group of minority Muslims in Myanmar ethnic cleansing. It is a term he's refused to use previously, only saying that he was, quote, very concerned by reports about the actions of Myanmar's military. Those reports find that in the last 3 months alone, more than 500,000 people have been forced to leave their homes in Myanmar and flee to neighboring Bangladesh to avoid simply being murdered. Simply, again, for being Muslim. In a CNN exclusive report earlier this month, survivors detailed their stories of mass murder and rape. One woman told us that she escaped from a mass grave only to be raped by soldiers and locked in a house that was then set on fire. These are facts. I want to bring in CNN senior diplomatic correspondent Michelle Kaczynski. Michelle, so quite a strong statement from Secretary of State Tillerson after a delay.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's saying something powerful, but you could also say it's saying it in a very gentle way. I mean, it's not as if the Secretary of State comes out before cameras and announces this. In fact, they buried the lead. They had this deep within a very normal seeming State Department press release. They didn't even make it the headline. Also, when you call something ethnic cleansing, it doesn't have any implications under either international or domestic law. And the State Department isn't blaming anyone in particular. They only referred to some elements of the military, security forces, or other vigilante groups, and they're not blaming the Burmese government. The way it works there now, there's this power-sharing agreement between the civilian government, which is very, very new, and the military. So the State Department sees the government as not having a whole lot of control over much.
But is that a fair, because, I mean, there have also been questions about Aung San Suu Kyi not herself calling out the military's activities.
So the State Department says that they continue to push the government to do more, but the State Department has also been worried, according to sources, that if the U.S. came out right away and called this ethnic cleansing or worse, that it would lead to massive unrest there, and then that new democracy that's only 18 months old, if you want to call it a democracy, could just be taken over by the military. So they've been worried about that. So what does this do then? Well, they're considering more sanctions against some individuals. They see this as putting pressure on both the government and the military to stop the violence and come to an agreement about letting these people back into their country. And they see it as adding urgency. But let's talk about urgency here. I mean, this is a full 2 months after the UN Secretary General said that this was a textbook case of ethnic cleansing. It's 3 months after the violence started. And granted, it's complicated. The U.S. sees the violence starting from an attack by a Rohingya militant group that the State Department considers terrorists. So what this actually shows by calling it ethnic cleansing is that in today's world, ethnic cleansing still happens, and the world can't come up with an acceptable intervention.
Those people have been suffering for a long time. Michelle Kaczynski, thanks very much.